Kenny on the beat, boy.
Sup, gang? Ittscrumbtv, welcome back to the channel, man. We're here to react to Zion Williamson is ruining his life. If you're watching this, you're a basketball fan. This man Zion had, before Wemby, the most crazy amount of attention going into the draft, like as LeBron James. It was Zion, then John Morant, RJ Barrett, DeAndre Hunter. And they traded that to the Hawks. It's so stupid. And then Darius Garland was number 5. Jarrett Culver. And Kobe White. Jackson Hayes. Rui Hachimura. Cam Reddish. Cam Johnson. PJ Washington. Tyler Hero. Romeo Langford. Yo. And Lucas Samanic. I'm a Spurs fan. I forgot about Romeo Langford, though. Oh, by the way, I'm recording this the finals game 1. Pacers took that shit. Tyrese Halliburton is on a crazy run. I want Indiana to win. OKC might win it. I'm being honest. I'm not an Indiana fan, but OKC took out the Clippers, and I'm a Kawhi fan. So I'm a Spurs fan first, but I'm a Kawhi fan second. Not OKC. I mean Nuggets took out the Clippers. Anyways, yeah, so Zion, I know he had a couple controversies, like, you know, the weight gain, yada yada. He's not like Luka, but I ain't gonna lie, bro can get to. But I remember that one game. Yes, I'm saying one game. Maybe that's my problem. One game he had finally played. He dropped like 40, right? I'll do the research while editing this video, but it was just crazy. Like, he was just getting to a bucket. He's 7 years in and he hasn't even made the playoffs? I'm not even trying to troll. When did Jrue Holiday leave? 2020, right? To 2021, because they got the ring the year right after. Zion Williamson entering year 7 with 0. He hasn't been in the playoffs. Holy shit. With 0 playoff minutes logged. I just got sick. Yeah, he's been injured. Yeah. I ain't trying to hear that.
Is entering year 7 with 0 playoff minutes logged. I just got sick.
Zion's a bust. When he's healthy, he's played, he's a stud. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. But it's been years now. He's not healthy.
Yeah.
A generational talent with LeBron-level hype. A team built perfectly around him with championship potential and a clear path to greatness. Now imagine watching all of that crumble, not because of bad luck or lack of talent, but because of choices. Poor choices, terrible choices, self-destructive choices. We're talking about Zion Williamson, and this is the story of how a man blessed with gifts from God himself is systematically destroying everything he's been given. By the time we're done today, you're gonna hear about the obscene allegations that will ruin Zion Williamson's life. Baby mama drama that sounds like an episode of Jerry Springer, and weight issues so bad that his own team had to put clauses in his contract like he's a heavyweight boxer. These are all things you may have heard before, but now they're threatening Zion Williamson's career. But here's what's going to blow your mind. Zion Williamson has everything, and I believe that is the biggest problem of all. The Pelicans built a legitimate championship contender around him. They had the pieces, they had the chemistry, and when healthy, they were beating the best teams in the NBA. And we're going to show you exactly how close they came to something special before it all fell apart. Today, we're going to go deeper than we've ever had before. We're going to start with the foundation, how gifted Zion really was, and how perfectly the Pelicans built around him. Then we'll show you the warning signs that everyone ignored, the weight issues that started early, the injury patterns that were clearly connected to his conditioning. But that's just the basketball stuff. We're going to get into the Mariah Mills saga, 6 months of absolute chaos on social media that had NBA Twitter going insane.
She said
6 months of absolute chaos on social media that had NBA Twitter going insane. And it's back in 2025 once again, which is kind of what motivated me to make this video. We're gonna bring in what happened with Akima Love that escalated into actual criminal charges this year. And finally, we'll hit you with the bombshell lawsuit from May of 2025 that has allegations that could end everything. This video is probably gonna get demonetized given the nature of the contents of this video, and if you're triggered by anything that involves allegations of SA, then this is your opportunity to click off of this video. Now that we get all that out of the way, cue the intro. Download Prize Picks and use my promo code microphone to get a free $50 when you make a deposit of $5 or more. On top of that, I've been hitting more consistently each and every day. Give you an edge each and every down below as well. And thank you, Prize Picks, for today's sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Let's start at the beginning because you need to understand just how truly special Zion Williamson was supposed to be. When this man was at Duke University, he was doing things that literally broke the internet. Remember that Nike shoe exploding against North Carolina?
The first minute
that
of
wasn't
the
just
game.
a freak accident. That was 285 pounds of pure explosive power moving in ways that physics shouldn't allow. At 6'6" and 285 pounds with a 45-inch vertical leap, Zion Williamson was being compared to LeBron James, Charles Barkley, and every other generational talent that you could think of. The New Orleans Pelicans won the lottery in 2019, and it wasn't even a question. Zion Williamson was their franchise savior, and if you truly wanted to put the tinfoil hat on, Zion Williamson was the compensation for the Pelicans trading Anthony Davis to the Los Angeles Lakers. This man was going to replace Anthony Davis and bring a championship to New Orleans. Little did anyone know that this would be one of the last times we'd see Zion at his optimal weight and conditioning. What started as minor concerns about his fitness would spiral into contractual weight clauses, team sources saying he doesn't listen, and a pattern of self-sabotage that continues to this very day. We're gonna get to that a little later. Zion Williamson's rookie debut was everything you would ever expect from a legendary basketball player in the making. January 22nd, 2022, after months of waiting, Zion Williamson finally debuted against the San Antonio Spurs. 22 points and 7 rebounds in just 18 minutes, including 17 straight points in the fourth quarter that had the entire Smoothie King Center losing their minds. In his first 8 games, he scored 20 plus points 6 times. We're talking about records that put him alongside Michael Jordan and LeBron James as teenagers. And that's an incredible way to start your career. But even
I don't want to hear this shit, bro. I don't want to hear it. This shit makes me more upset. Like, what this man could have became. Him and John Morant, bro. They should be like, they should be the face of the new face of the NBA. Him, Ja, Ant-Man's working his way up there. He just got his ass booted out the West Conference Finals again, but he's 23 years old, so you know what I'm saying. Who else we got? LaMelo, Wemby.
Warning signs that most people chose to ignore. From day one, there were whispers about Zion Williamson's conditioning. During the 2019 Summer League, fans started noticing that he looked a little different, heavier, slower, and when the regular season started, those whispers just got louder. By the time the 2020 NBA bubble rolled around, it was painfully obvious. Zion Williamson was going viral for huffing and puffing during games, looking completely out of shape despite being a professional athlete in his early 20s.
Crazy.
Charles Barkley, who knows a thing or two about weight struggles, said Zion looked like he and Shaq had a child. And that's when you know things aren't necessarily going so well. The Pelicans were so concerned that when they gave Zion his max contract extension, a 5-year deal worth up to $231 million, they literally put a weight clause in it. Think about that for a second.
Smart.
And
yeah, they had
so
to.
Concerned about
he wasn't playing
games. Weight that they made it a contractual obligation for him to stay under 295 pounds. And according to reports from The Athletic, if Zion fails those weigh-ins, he can actually lose guaranteed money from his contract. And by the way, he failed it in the very first year. Now, Zion's supporters will tell you that his weight issues are overblown, that he's just a big, powerful guy who plays a physical style. But here's the thing, the weight and the injuries are connected, and the pattern is undeniable. Since being drafted in 2019, Zion Williamson has played in just 214 out of a possible 492 regular season games. That's 45% availability for a max contract player. Let me put that in perspective. In 6 seasons, he's missed more games than he's played. The injuries read like a medical textbook. Torn meniscus in his rookie year, foot fracture that kept him out the entire 2021-22 season, hamstring strains, and more recently, a back injury that ended his 2020 24-25 season after just 30 games. Former NBA players and analysts have been trying to warn him for years. JJ Redick, who played with Zion Williamson, said bluntly that Zion has to be in better shape. Shaquille O'Neal, who dealt with similar criticisms earlier in his career, called him out on live television, saying he doesn't run hard and needs to take his conditioning seriously. But the most damning report came from the Times, where team sources said that Zion doesn't listen when the organization tries to help him with his diet and conditioning. Multiple sources within the Pelicans organization have expressed frustration with his work ethic and commitment to staying in shape. Now, if you think Zion's problems with listening to advice stop at diet and conditioning, then you're in for a surprise. His inability to make good decisions extend far beyond the basketball court, and the personal choices he's made are about to make his weight issues look like child's play, because the issues we're going to get into this video are going to be worse than you can ever imagine. And the worst part of all is just how close the Pelicans came to building a championship team around this man. Here's what makes Zion's situation even more frustrating. The New Orleans Pelicans actually built a championship caliber team around him. This wasn't some poverty franchise throwing random pieces
Ingram
together
was
and hoping
hooping
for the
too,
best.
bro.
They had a
B.I. was
legitimate
hooping.
plan,
We're here now, the Raptors,
perfectly,
right?
And when everyone was healthy, they looked like world beaters. Let's start with the CJ McCollum trade in February of 2022. At the time, the Pelicans were 23-36 and had just a 10% chance to make the playoffs according to ESPN's projections. But acquiring McCollum wasn't just about adding scoring. They were getting a 9-year veteran who could be the steady professional voice that Zion and Brandon Ingram needed. And do you know how Zion Williamson welcomed him to the team? Well, he didn't, which prompted this response from JJ Redick.
Like, this just shows a complete lack of investment in your team. And again, look, I was his teammate. I can describe him as a detached teammate.
With that aside, the trade worked immediately. The Pelicans went on an absolute tear, making the playoffs for the first time in 4 years and nearly pulling off one of the biggest upsets in NBA history. Without Zion, who was out with a foot injury, the Pelicans took the top-seeded Phoenix Suns to 6 games in the first round. Brandon Ingram was
they did make the playoffs,
cooking, averaging over 30 points in multiple games. CJ McCollum was hitting clutch shots. Herb Jones was
Zion just wasn't playing because he was injured.
Jose Alvarado was creating chaos.
I remember Alvarado. I was like, Alvarado's going crazy on Chris
when
Paul.
Brandon Ingram dropped 37 points and nearly had a triple-double. They completely dominated Game 4.
Ingram was hooping like that.
Behind Ingram's 30 points and Jonas Valanciunas' 26 points and 15 rebounds. Chris Paul had to go perfect, literally 14 from 14 from the field with 33 points just to close them out in Game 6. Think about that for a second. Without their best player, without their franchise cornerstone, the Pelicans nearly beat the team that represented the Western Conference in the NBA Finals that year. Imagine what they could have done with Zion Williamson. Now fast forward to the 2022 to 2023 season when Zion finally came back healthy. For a brief moment, we got to see what this team was supposed to look like, and it was absolutely terrifying for the rest of the league. In December of 2022, the New Orleans Pelicans went on a 7-game winning streak and sat alone at the top of the Western Conference at 18-8. This was the best start in franchise history throughout 26 games. Zion was averaging 30 points, 9.1 rebounds, and 5.3 assists while shooting an insane 67% from the field.
That's crazy. I mean, he goes to the rack majority of the time, but that's still really
an overtime thriller where Zion Williamson dropped 35 points. The same Suns team that had eliminated them in the playoffs the year before couldn't handle them when Zion was healthy and fully engaged. The roster construction was perfect. CJ McCollum was the veteran leader and secondary scorer. Brandon Ingram provided elite wing scoring and playmaking. Herb Jones was developing into one of the best two-way players in the league. Trey Murphy III was the perfect floor spacing complement to Zion's paint dominance. Jonas Valanciunas gave them size and rebounding. This wasn't just a collection of talent. These pieces fit together perfectly. McCollum's leadership and professionalism rubbed off on the younger players. His experience in big moments with Portland was invaluable. The spacing around Zion was optimal, giving him clear driving lanes to use his unmatched athleticism. NBA analysts were calling the Pelicans legitimate championship contenders. They had everything you need: a superstar in Zion, elite
They probably could have won one, bro.
veteran leadership, defensive versatility, and depth. When they added DeJounte Murray last year in 2024, they addressed their only real weakness at point guard. And originally, I said that the Pelicans won the trade, but here's the devastating part. We've barely seen this team at full strength. Injuries have decimated them year after year, and most of those injuries center around Zion's inability to stay healthy and in shape. This past season was supposed to be their championship run. They had Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, CJ McCollum, DeJounte Murray, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, and rookie sensation Yves Missy. Instead, they used 41 different starting lineups because of injuries and finished 21-61, the second worst record in franchise history. Zion played in 30 games, McCollum played in 56 games, Murray missed 51 games, Jones missed 62 games, Murphy was out for extended time. The team that was built to compete for championships couldn't even stay on the court together. David Griffin, who assembled this roster, watched from the stands as his carefully constructed championship team fell apart, and he
I ain't gonna lie, Pelican fans, it must suck to be y'all, bro. To have so much talent on your team, but just to be destroyed by injuries damn near every year, and your franchise player is like not playing. Pray for y'all, man. I pray for y'all.
He was fired after the season, and now the organization is reportedly shopping Zion and McCollum because they can't justify keeping this group together when the centerpiece can't stay healthy. They already traded Brandon Ingram to the Toronto Raptors for peanuts on the dollar, and this is the tragedy of Zion Williamson's career. It's not just about his individual failure, it's about the championship opportunities that he's cost his teammates, the front office executives who lost their jobs trying to build around him, and the fans who believe they finally had something special. The 2022 playoff run showed what was possible. The 2022-23 hot start proved that the ceiling was real, but Zion Williamson's inability to maintain his health and conditioning has prevented this team from ever reaching its potential. Instead of competing for titles, they're talking about rebuilding around different players, and that's what makes this story so infuriating. This wasn't a situation where the team failed Zion. The team did everything right. They built perfectly around his strengths, surrounded him with the right personalities and skill sets, and created a championship caliber culture. But you can't win championships when your best player is only available for 45% of his games. And Zion Williamson even admitted himself that he struggled with his own focus on Gil's Arena.
Is it hard to diet at your age?
This is you. I'll be real. There are times when I will say, man, that's hard. It's hard, man.
But if you thought that the weight and injury issues were Zion Williamson's biggest problems, you haven't heard anything yet. In June of 2023, Zion announced that he and his girlfriend Akima were expecting their first child together, and it should have been a beautiful moment, a young man starting a family, ready to take the next step in his life. Instead, it unleashed absolute chaos. Enter Mariah Mills, an adult film actress who decided absolute chaos. Enter Mariah Mills, an adult film actress who decided to blow up Zion's entire world on social media. Mills claimed that she has been in a secret relationship with Zion for 3 years, and she was not happy about this baby news. For months, Mills went on an absolute scorched earth campaign against Zion on Twitter and TikTok. She posted screenshots of alleged text messages and claimed that he was paying her monthly to keep their relationship quiet, and even shared photos of wire transfers she said he sent.
Zion, so hold on. You wanted, first of all, okay, you wanted to crack an OnlyFans chick who wouldn't, right? You wanted to cuff the bitch. You want to cuff. Okay, whatever. You might as well own that shit if you're gonna cuff her, bro. Don't cuff her and give her like to yo shh. Feel me? Plus, she's an OnlyFans model. Is she not messing with other dudes? Not messing, I guess not messing with other dudes on her. You cool with that? All right. I mean, but on top of that, you want to keep the relationship on a hush-hush. That's a little red flag. But on top of that, you're paying her to stay quiet? To continue to be your girlfriend? If this is all allegedly true, you know what I'm saying? If this is true, you did all that, bro? 25K. 10K, 20K. You're about to lose your contract. You're giving her 100K, almost 100K. What, 60K? I mean, I'm not trying to pocket watch. You do you. You got brand deals too. Whatever. But that's just idiotic.
Her. But somehow it got way worse than that. Mills accused Zion Williamson of asking her to bring other women for three-ways, called him a sex addict and made fun of his weight, telling him to get on a treadmill and lose weight. She even threatened to release sex tapes of them two together, which ultimately got her Twitter account suspended. The most shocking part, Mills claimed that she was pregnant with Zion Williamson's child, though she never actually had a baby. She kind of lost credibility when she fake tattooed Zion on her face and spent months dragging his name through the mud, while he, for the most part, stayed completely silent. But this would escalate. Fast forward to April of 2025, and Zion's personal life somehow got even messier. Akima Love, the mother of his daughter Azira, was arrested and charged with home invasion, aggravated assault, and stalking. According to police reports, Akima became jealous of another woman who was romantically involved with Zion Williamson. This is literally like a cycle. This is literally what happened to Mariah Mills 2 years ago. And I know there's gonna be a comment saying Mike saying literally with a check next to it, so stop that! According to police report, Akima became jealous of another woman who was romantically involved with Zion Williamson. In March of 2025, she allegedly egged the woman's house and sent threatening messages on Instagram saying, "Don't worry, it's going to be your head next when I drop this baby. Count your days." Bro, it's kind of crazy. They're actually having a Olympics out here, fighting over who gets to have Zion Williamson's next baby, threatening each other on text. But she doesn't even stop there. Akima, who was pregnant with what appears to be Zion's second child, used her key to enter the woman's home at 1 a.m. and physically attacked her. The victim suffered cuts to both eyes, had a lump on her head, scratches, and 4 of her fingernails were ripped off during the assault. Think about this situation for a second. Zion gave his baby mama a key to what appears to be another woman's house.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, that's Zion's house, one of his houses type shit. Like, and he gave his new girl a key, but that's not his. I mean, it's his house. I'm assuming maybe he bought that girl that house. They were together at some point and he got a house. Maybe I'm tripping. I don't know. But like, why would she have that key? Maybe she stole it from Zion and shit, but how would she know which key is the right one? Did she steal a whole key bunch? I don't know. That's crazy. I don't know.
Access to commit a violent assault. Either Zion has incredibly poor judgment about the women in his life, or he's creating these messy situations by juggling multiple relationships without any regard for the consequences.
Zion's
in my
tweaking,
opinion,
bro.
I think it's a little bit of both.
I think it's
Akima
both
was
too,
arrested at Zion's home address. Her bond was set at $50,000, and she was ordered to stay away from the victim. But here's what's really wild. This incident happened while she was pregnant with what would be Zion's second child, meaning he's been involved with multiple women simultaneously while already having baby mama drama with the first one. And just when you thought this story couldn't get any crazier, May 30th, 2025 happened. A woman identified as Jane Doe filed a civil lawsuit in Los Angeles Superior Court accusing Zion Williamson of sexual assault and years of abuse, and the allegations are absolutely devastating. According to the lawsuit, the woman claims that she was in a dating relationship with Zion starting in 2018 when he was at Duke, and that the abuse continued until 2023. The lawsuit details 2 specific incidents of rape in 2020, both allegedly occurring at a Beverly Hills property that Zion had rented. The complaint alleges that Zion engaged in physical, emotional, and financial abuse, including strangulation with such force that she reasonably feared for her life and eventually lost consciousness multiple times. The lawsuit also claims he threatened to end her life and her family members on multiple occasions.
Now, people could be different behind closed doors, but does this sound like Zion? I don't know the nigga. We don't know the nigga. I mean, so maybe I'm biased. We're just so used to women lying on superstars, not just NBA players, but like celebrities and like male celebrities in general, bro. Partial one, probably like a lower percentage of them are actually true or whatever. It happens to happen, whatever. But so many of these bitches get away with just throwing allegations out, and people read the allegations and automatically assume she's right. That should never be the case, bro. Well,
Zion's
yeah, I yap a
attorney
lot. Welcome to the
immediately
channel.
fired back, calling the allegations categorically false and reckless, and claiming this is the plaintiff's third set of attorneys, suggesting this is financially motivated rather than a legitimate grievance. They also revealed that there have been previous extortion attempts that resulted in an arrest warrant being issued. But here's where it gets really interesting. Remember Mariah Mills? She immediately contacted attorney Tony Busby about potentially filing her own lawsuit against Zion. Mills posted an emotional video saying she's received bashing, humiliation, slander, and threats over the past 3 years and hopes all victims get justice.
I really hope all the victims, including me, get justice. A lot of us don't deserve that. A lot of things have been swept under the rug for so long, you know, and I feel sorry to the victim. I've been through a lot of stuff with him. It's just shocking, you know?
Now, I understand if you'd question Mariah Mills' credibility, and I wouldn't blame you for doing so. Any woman that fake tattoos another man's name on her face would definitely have me reconsidering whether or not I trust her as well. But the thing is, it doesn't even matter. Whether these allegations are true or not, you have to admit, there is a pattern here, and that pattern is undeniable. Zion Williamson has surrounded himself with chaos, drama, and legal problems that have absolutely nothing to do with basketball. And if you're a basketball purist, you might be more interested in the next section of this video. What does this mean for Zion Williamson's basketball career and the New Orleans Pelicans organization? The team just endured their worst season in nearly 2 decades, finishing 21-61 and missing the playoffs by a mile. Zion played in just 30 games this season before being shut down with a back injury. That's the 4th time in 6 seasons that he's played in 30 games or fewer. For context, he's making $36.7 million this season and is owed approximately $126.5 million over the next 3 seasons. The New Orleans Pelicans have shown incredible patience with Zion, but that patience is clearly running thin. They fired their head of basketball operations, David Griffin, and hired Joe Dumars, who has been non-committal about Zion's future with the organization. According to multiple reports, the New Orleans Pelicans made their entire roster available for trades at the deadline this season, including Zion Williamson. While they ultimately decided to keep him and even had him represent the team at the draft lottery, league sources suggest that was more about trying to maintain his trade value than showing long-term commitment. ESPN's Tim McMahon reported that there's significant interest from other teams if Zion ever becomes available, but his value
who will want Zion?
Complicated by his injury history and off-court issues. Teams like the Detroit Pistons, Charlotte Hornets, and Miami Heat have been mentioned as potential landing spots, but any trade would have to account for his massive contract and medical red flags.
Exactly, who's going to pay for him?
Zion Williamson's situation into perspective by comparing him to other players who entered the league with similar hype and expectations. LeBron James came into the league at 18 years old with unprecedented expectations and media attention. The man was literally called the chosen one. Despite all that pressure, LeBron has played in over 1,400 regular season games and has been remarkably durable throughout his career. More importantly, LeBron understood early on that his off-court image and professionalism were just as important as his on-court performance. Kevin Durant dealt with injury issues early in his career, but he maintained his conditioning and professionalism throughout. Even during his worst injury periods, you never heard stories about KD refusing to listen to team nutritionists or conditioning coaches. Compare that to Zion, who has played just 45% of possible games in 6 seasons and continues to have the same conditioning and injury issues that plagued him as a rookie. The most telling difference is attitude and professionalism. You never heard about LeBron James or Kevin Durant having multiple baby mama situations, with adult film actors.
I ain't gonna lie, KD's not even married, right? Does KD have children? I don't think KD has children. We're getting on topic.
Lawsuits alleging serious crimes. LeBron James is a family man and Kevin Durant is single, and both of these players are never in the headlines for what's going on off the court in their personal lives. Zion Williamson had every advantage coming into the league. Generational talent, a max contract, organizational
more
support,
than Luka,
and
more than
resources that
Wemby.
most players could only dream of. But instead of dedicating himself to becoming the best player he could be, he's allowed distractions and poor decisions to derail what should have had been a legendary career. And this is what makes Zion Williamson's situation so frustrating. When he's actually on the court and healthy, he's still absolutely dominant. This season, despite playing just 30 games, he averaged 24.6 points, 7.2 rebounds, and 5.3 assists while shooting 57.6% from the field, which is down from his previous numbers.
Yeah, it's down, but it's not bad.
Solid, even though it's the lowest mark of his career. Zion's combination of size, speed, and agility is still unlike anything we've seen in the NBA. He's averaging nearly 25 points per game in less than 29 minutes per game, which is insane efficiency. When he's locked in and healthy, he's one of the most unstoppable forces in basketball. But that's exactly what makes this so frustrating. We're watching a generational talent waste his prime years because he can't stay healthy, won't maintain his conditioning, and keeps getting involved in off-court drama that has nothing to do with basketball. Think about what Zion could have accomplished by now if he had taken his career seriously from day one. 6 years in, he should be competing for championships, not dealing with lawsuits and baby mama drama. He should be mentioned alongside Victor Wembanyama and Jason Tatum as the next generation of NBA stars, not as a cautionary tale about wasted potential. So where does Zion Williamson go from here?
New Orleans,
his contract becomes fully guaranteed on July 15, 2025, which means the Pelicans are essentially locked into paying him $197 million over the next 4 seasons unless they can find a trade partner willing to take on that risk. The legal situation with the great allegations will likely drag on for months or years, creating a constant distraction and potential PR nightmare for any team he's on. Even if the allegations are ultimately proven false, the damage to his reputation and marketability is already done. His relationship with the Pelicans organization appears to be hanging by a thread. While they publicly support him,
lawsuits are lawsuits. I mean, people can sue you for anything, and you can be innocent or not. It's just something that people...
League sources suggest that patience is running out. The team has invested 6 years and hundreds of millions of dollars in Zion, and they have virtually nothing to show for it. From a basketball perspective, Zion will be 25 years old at the start of next season, which should be the beginning of his prime years. But instead of entering his peak, he's coming off another injury-shortened season with more questions about his conditioning and commitment than ever before. Zion's situation is bigger than just one player's career. It represents a cautionary tale about how even the most gifted athletes can derail their own success through poor decision making and a lack of professionalism. The NBA has seen other talented players flame out due to off-court issues, but Zion's case is unique because of how public and messy everything has been. Social media has amplified every aspect of his personal drama, creating a level of scrutiny and distraction that previous generations of players never had to deal with. But that's not an excuse. If anything, modern players have more resources, support systems, and education about how to handle fame and fortune than ever before. Plus, they get paid significantly more than players did 20 years ago. The NBA provides players with financial advisors, media training, and life skills programs specifically designed to help them avoid these types of situations. Zion had every opportunity to learn from the mistakes of players who came before him, but instead he seems to have ignored all of the warning signs and red flags that his lifestyle and decision-making would eventually catch up with him. From the New Orleans Pelicans' perspective, the Zion Williamson experiment has been an unmitigated disaster. They won the lottery in 2019, expecting to get a franchise-altering superstar who would lead them to playoff success and potentially a championship. Instead, they've gotten a player who's been available for less than half their games, has generated constant negative headlines, and has shown questionable commitment to his craft. The team has bent over backwards to accommodate Zion, from hiring specific trainers to adjusting their entire offensive system around his unique skill set.
So I ain't gonna lie, so it's not even the Pelicans. The Pelicans has tried their hardest. They got different people to help him out, to switch the diet up, to do this, that, the third, and he's still not so take him to a different environment. Pop him in a different team. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Most likely, he's already someone says he's probably already halfway in his career. It's so sad to hear that, bro. Cause that's actually probably true. Here, bro. Now I'm
A
mad.
clause in
Get
his
this
contract
video over
shows
with.
just how concerned the organization was about his professionalism, and the fact they've had to repeatedly address his conditioning publicly suggests those concerns were well founded. Now they're facing a brutal decision. Do they continue to invest in a player who has shown he can't stay healthy or committed, or do they cut their losses and try to trade him while he still has some value? The problem is that Zion's trade value is at an all-time low. Think about it for a second. The Los Angeles Lakers were able to get Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, and Markieff Morris in return for Anthony Davis, Max Christie, a 2029 first-round pick, and a 2025 second-round pick. And Luka Doncic, although there were issues with his conditioning, at least he was playing in games. Not this past year with the Mavericks so much due to injury. Prior to that, he was available for most of his games. Luka Doncic played 422 games with the Dallas Mavericks before getting traded. So imagine trying to trade Zion Williamson, who's played almost half of the amount of those games, to another team. Zion Williamson's trade value is at an all-time low. His injury history, conditioning concerns, and now legal issues make him a massive risk for any potential trade partner. The Pelicans might be stuck with him whether they want to be or not. When we talk about NBA draft busts, we usually think about players who simply weren't talented enough to succeed at the highest level. But Zion represents a different type of disappointment. A player who had all the talent in the world and all the tools to succeed, but couldn't get out of his own way. Greg Oden is probably the closest comparison in terms of a #1 overall pick whose career was derailed by injuries. But even Greg Oden was considered a consummate professional who did everything he could to stay healthy. His injuries were largely due to bad luck and genetics, not poor conditioning or lifestyle choices. Anthony Bennett, who's often considered the worst #1 overall pick in NBA history, simply wasn't good enough to play at an NBA level. But Bennett's failure was about basketball ability, not character or professionalism. Zion's situation is almost worse because everyone can see the talent is there. When he's healthy and engaged, he's one of the most dominant players in the league. But his inability to stay on the court and his constant off-court distractions have made his career a massive disappointment despite his obvious ability. Here's the bottom line. Zion Williamson is wasting one of the most gifted athletic careers in NBA history, and most of it is his own fault. Yes, injuries are a part of sports, and some players are more injury prone than others, but Zion's injury problems are clearly connected to his conditioning and weight issues, which are within his control. When your own organization has to put weight requirements in your contract, that tells you everything you need to know about the situation. The off-court drama is completely inexcusable. No matter what really happened with the various women in his life, the pattern of behavior shows incredibly poor judgment and decision making. Professional athletes at his level need to understand that their actions have consequences not just for themselves, but for their teammates, organization, and fans. The most frustrating part is that Zion had every advantage possible coming into the league. He was drafted by an organization that was desperate for a star and willing to invest unlimited resources in his success. He signed a max contract extension before proving he could stay healthy. He had access to the best trainers, nutritionists, and medical staff in the world. Despite all of that support, he's managed to play just 45% of possible games while generating negative headlines and legal problems that have nothing to do with basketball. That's not bad luck. That's bad choices. And the reality is that Zion Williamson is running out of time to change the narrative around his career. He'll be 25 at the start of next season, which means he's already used up several years of what should have been his development period. NBA careers are shorter than people realize, especially for players who rely heavily on athleticism. If Zion continues to deal with injury problems and conditioning issues, his athletic advantage could disappear quickly, leaving him without the skills needed to adapt his game. The legal and personal drama also creates distractions that can derail even the most talented players. If Zion can't get those issues resolved and put behind him, they'll continue to follow him throughout his career and limit his opportunities both on and off the court. Most importantly, the league and his organization are losing patience. The Pelicans have invested 6 years and hundreds of millions of dollars in Zion with minimal return. At some point, even the most patient organization will decide to cut their losses and move on. And the saddest part about this situation is that it was completely avoidable. If Zion had taken his career seriously from day one, stayed in shape, made better personal decisions, and focused on basketball, we could be talking about him as one of the best players in the league right now. Instead, we're talking about wasted potential, missed opportunities, and whether he'll ever live up to the hype that made him the #1 overall pick 6 years ago. The ball is in Zion's court right now, literally and figuratively. He can continue down the path path he's on and become one of the biggest disappointments in NBA history, or he can make the changes necessary to salvage his career and finally reach his potential. Based on everything we've seen over the past 6 years, I'm not exactly holding my breath. Let me know what you guys think about Zion Williamson in the comment section down below. Aside from that, I don't know if you guys heard, but LeBron James just made a decision that can not only destroy his own legacy, but forever alter Luka's legacy. We have a completely separate video. I'll leave it in the end screen. I'll meet you guys there.
Not saying he would have won a chip, but to get all that experience, look what Ant-Man's doing at 23 years old, bro. This is heartbreaking news, man. And I'm not even a Pelicans fan. Imagine being a New Orleans Pelicans fan. I wonder if they're ready for Zion to go. Cause like you see the Pelicans, like the organization is doing so much to invest in their franchise player. For years, they've been patient too. They've been it was Bobby year 7, like Mike said, like, bro, they're doing so much for you, gang. Why are you not locking in? You're an NBA player. You made it to the NBA. A lot of niggas can't say that, bro. That was their main dream and they couldn't do it. You're living their dream and you're just laughing in their faces, bro. You're doing some dumb shit off the court and then you're not doing nothing on the court but sitting there watching the game that you're supposed to be in. I'm not one to talk about. I'm not an NBA player. That was never my dream. You feel me? But if I were to say, I don't know, if I were to be something like that, I would go to my best of ability to be good at what I'm doing. You feel me? I think he needs to get out of New Orleans. Even though New Orleans tries so much different stuff, he needs to get out. I'm out of here, man. Y'all have a good one. Be safe. Take care. Peace.